Welcome to tutorial 21. Today we're going to be exploring some of the sounds that were used on the original TV series Doctor Who and the theme tune. Now a lot of people will remember that the theme tune was composed by Ron Grainer, but not a lot of people would realise that it was recorded and arranged and everything in the BBC Radiophonic Workshop by Delia Derbyshire. And all she had at her disposal was single track tape machines, test tone oscillators and a noise generator. And she used to record things like plucked sounds, record them all onto tape and then splice and edit the tape, put them into loops and to create the sound that we know as the Doctor Who theme. So the first sound that we're going to recreate is the bass sound, the dum-da-dum, dum-da-dum. And we need mono mode. Oscillator 1 is going to be 16 foot. And it's a pulse wave, and the pulse width is 65. There we are. Oscillator 2, 8 foot. Pulse width, again, 74. So we'll add that in. And oscillator 3 is going to be a 4 foot pitch, and that's pulse width 76. Now we don't need quite as much of the 4 foot pitch, so we'll back that off to a level of 60. There we are. And now we can detune the oscillators ever so slightly. Detune on oscillator 2 would be -9. There we are. And detune on oscillator 3 about +1 or so. There we go. And we'll move over to the filter section. At the moment the filter is fully open, 24 dB per octave. We're going to reduce that to a 71. There we are. And the amount of filter envelope is +18. Now we can already hear the sound is pretty much there. Attack time 0, decay 52, sustain 0, release 32. The release won't make a lot of difference until I add some amplifier release here, about 55. That's just to create a little ambience to the sound. We need some reverb in there because all of the sounds were bathed in reverb. Time 61. Oh, there's lots of that. And level 46. There we go, that's about right. And here's the sound. But of course you'll hear that on the track when we come to mix it all together. The next sound that we're going to create is there's a little sort of ramp sound to the bass sound. It's a bit like a slide trombone. And what we need for that is the LFO on oscillators 1, 2 and 3. In actual fact, we don't need oscillator 3, so I can switch that out, just oscillators 1 and 2. But the ramp on here, there's the ramp setting, and we need a speed of 78. Now you won't hear anything until, oops, I've knocked something there, sorry about that. Speed 78. And depth, this is crucial here because it's going to provide 2 semitones below the pitch. In actual fact it'll rise 2 semitones and that's a setting of 28. And you can hear it rising up 2 semitones. So we've got to knock down the semitone of oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. There we are, we're back in pitch again. Okay, and we're going to alter the filter amount now. And the filter amount here is cutoff 71. We're going to have a little sort of brassy sound to the sound here. 09. I need to switch the mono function off actually, because we're not getting the glide each time. That's it. That's back to the sound I want. Over to the this section. So the attack time of the filter is going to be 52, and that gives us a kind of a brassy sound, that trombone sound that I was talking about. Amplifier envelope, attack time 58, so a bit of a fade into the sound. And that's pretty much it. That's the little trombone or ramp sound to the bass, and that's going to go before each note. So the lead sound is very important on the track because it's very evocative of the piece, and we need mono in. We need a glide. We'll switch the glide on and then alter the amount to 48. What that does is gives us the nice sort of glide that we remember from the track. Oscillator 1 is 8-foot sine wave, and that's at 8-foot pitch. Oscillator 2, we'll switch that in, and that's going to be a 4-foot pitch, and that's on a square wave. Now this gives us an octave difference in there, which sounds a bit organy at the moment, but we're also going to apply LFO1 to oscillator 1. So LFO1 there, oscillator 1, and that's going to give us a little bit of wobble. So speed is 52, you won't hear anything yet, and the depth is plus 14. Ooh, a bit too much there. And the combination of pitches gives us a sort of a vibraphony type sound, but also with the glide in there, it also provides the character for the track. So cut off, normally it's fully open, and the cut off is going to be 77, and the key track 93. So the filter's going to open up the higher up that we get up the keyboard, so we can get the. Now all we need to add is a little bit of slow attack time, which is 57, and a little bit of release time. There we are, and the reverb will do the rest. So reverb, time 100. There we are, level 78. So quite a lot there. And this will give us our. And you'll hear that with the track, of course. Okay, now there's lots of effects associated with Doctor Who, and one of them that's used on the track is a noise effect. So we'll switch out the oscillator, so we don't have any oscillators in, but we've got the noise option in there on, and we need white noise. White noise there, so let's see what that sounds like. There's a bit of white noise. We also need to filter that in a way. And what we're going to do is use LFO1 on a sawtooth setting. Now you might think, what's the difference between this sawtooth and this ramp? Well, the sawtooth is a cyclical waveform which will affect the control in an upward and then an immediate downward fashion, and we'll be able to hear that when that's applied to the filter cutoff. There we are, and we need to adjust the speed 24 and the depth is 44. Now again, we won't hear much because the filter is fully open at the moment. So we're going to use a 12 dB setting for this, and a filter setting of 81, and we've got an attack time here of 67. So a bit of a fade in, and a release time of 85. We also need a bit of reverb in there, and the reverb time is 127. And the level is 60. Okay, one final component is just a little bit of phase on the overall sound. And the phase is going to be setting of time, that's it, 20, and level 50. Now, I may have said that it's the reverb effect that we're using. It's not, it's actually the delay, so you'll hear the difference. So there we are, that's the difference that the delay makes, because it's repeating the ramp created by the sawtooth waveform. So that's the noise, and you'll hear that in the track. The next sound that we're going to do, and again I've started off with the initial setting, is a wobble sound, and for that we need an 8-foot triangle waveform. It sounds like that, but there's no wobble to that yet. What we need to do is, in the LFO section on LFO 1, we've got oscillator 1 selected, and we need that to use a sample and hold. Now, sample and hold actually samples a noise waveform and creates a kind of a random effect. So we need the speed of that to be 85. Quite fast. You won't hear that yet until I introduce the depth. There we are. The depth about 30, and it does depend on which note I pick as to what wobble effect we get. I'm going to pick this one here, and we also need an attack time, a bit of a fade in there, fade in 73, release 77, and again that's bathed in reverb, reverb 78, and level 98. So that's our wobble sound, and then of course we'll put all that together in the track.